The Blackhawks held a scrimmage at practice today. Who stood out? Who is winning the key position battles? And what will the Hawks special teams units look like? That and your mailbag questions coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy game day eve. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Yes, we are 19 and a half hours away from the Blackhawks' first preseason game of the season. Don't check my math. Just trust me. I think that's correct.
I think it is.
Shoot. Joey, restart the show. No, I'm Jay Zawoski. That's Mario Tirabassi.
Just over 24 hours.
Joey's here correcting my math and running the show. We appreciate everybody being with us. Hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page. Yes.
I'm going to have to make you do some Blashill.
I did it backwards.
Some skate up and downs, man.
Yeah, I subtracted hours instead of added.
After the show, we're going to take you to the roof.
That's fine. Yeah. Oh, boy. It's Monday, right? It's Monday for all of us. It's preseason for everybody, okay?
It's a victory Monday, by the way. Hell yeah, bear down.
Not for you. Your Cowboys suck.
Okay, can that stop? I've disowned the Cowboys.
Oh, you can't do that.
Many times over my years of fandom of the Cowboys, but none more than this season.
But none more than yesterday.
And prior to 3:25 yesterday afternoon.
All right, fair. And we need to send
you will find me gluten intolerance and all front of the line at the Wiener Circle tomorrow to celebrate Caleb's 4 touchdowns with free wieners for everybody.
Yeah, the
in
Bears
Chicago.
have a top 10 quarterback. However you want to slice it, go look at the stats. He's top 10 in everything. That's fun. But you just heard that show.
You know what? I'm going to make up another saying.
Uh-oh.
Ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
No one's ever said that before.
That's correct.
And I'm going to apply that to Caleb Williams.
You know what else? Aside from the Bears win, it remains our Big Brothers Big Sisters month of giving.
Yes, it does.
Here at CHGO in ALLCITY. This week, we are focused on getting new bigs. We would like you to sign up to be a big with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. Very easy. Go to bbbs.org/ALLCITY. That's all one word, ALLCITY. And go to the Get Involved tab. It'll teach you how to become a big. If you don't have a ton of money, you might have some time, and these kids need your help. They need your support. Become a big today. bbbs.org/ALLCITY. That's out of habit. And go to that Get Involved tab. Become a big today. All right, so we've got a scrimmage to react to. We've got some preliminary special teams units. We've got some mailbag questions today. And you and I are going to discuss some of the key position battles that are going on right now. I think hot on everybody's mind that wasn't in practice is probably how the scrimmage looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the scrimmage looked a lot like a team that has not played 5-on-5 hockey for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There were there was a lot of flash that we saw in the scrimmage, but nothing really behind it. There were a lot of times where you're like, ooh, good move. Ooh, bad move. Like, it just was a lot of up and down. And I think, from what Jeff Blashill said after practice, and don't let this stop anybody from getting overexcited about lines and combos.
Yeah.
But he basically was just like, the lines and pairings were just kind of put together so that the special teams units lined up well. But it did still give you some excitement to see, like Connor Bedard playing with Oliver Moore and Lucas Reichel. Like, they had a lot of speed and a lot of chances created. Not a lot of finish, but it was exciting to watch them play together. You got an opportunity to see a guy like Colton Dock, who we'll talk about later, play with a guy like Ryan Donato and how they played off of each other. Like, those could be guys that end up playing together this year. So it was a good opportunity to kind of see some of those players playing together. But yeah, it was not the most cohesive and fluid and beautiful hockey that there ever was. If there is anything to take away from the scrimmage, it's that the Blackhawks will not give up a lot of goals. because there were only 2 scored in
Yes.
40 minutes.
That is correct. There was not a lot of offense, not a ton of chances, just a lot of, some turnovers, some puck fumbling, rust. And that's what the preseason is for. And you're gonna, the first scrimmage is going to look like that. I imagine tomorrow night in Detroit will look like that as well. By the way, we will be on post game tomorrow night. So as soon as the game over, get in the habit, join us.
There also is a morning skate tomorrow before the game.
Yes, there
even
is.
though it's a road game, they'll skate and then they'll
Take
the game group.
4-minute flight to Detroit.
Well, it's funny because they got games Saturday and Sunday, so you'll have one group play Saturday in Detroit. It's not going to very unlikely any of those guys that play tomorrow are playing Sunday in Minnesota. So that'll be something interesting to watch over the weekend. Did I just say tomorrow?
What?
No.
Looks like someone else is running laps,
Someone's
skating
already
laps on the
thinking about
roof
next
after the
weekend.
show
I'm
today.
going to invent a term, too.
Well,
Case of the
well.
Mondays.
We're gonna have 2 tired
Yeah,
podcasters.
I'm already thinking of next
Somebody's
weekend.
got a case of the
Never
Mondays.
mind.
That's what's
Disregard everything I just said in the last minute. Yes, I'm excited for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, it should be fun. Not sure, of course, what the lineups will be or whatever, but the scrimmage a bit rusty, and we can get into it a little bit. Connor Bedard is noticeably faster. Now that you've seen it 5-on-5, it is definitely a different level of speed.
And we've seen it for a week.
Yes, but it's one thing to see it in drills and controlled environments. It's another thing to see it in play when all 5 guys on each side of the puck are competing and trying to win that battle, win that thing, and it's not just necessarily a drill, trying to get a look at something or whatever. He is noticeably faster. But I will say, I feel like now his mind needs to catch up with the speed because we saw a lot of sort of unforced turnovers from him during this one where he would stick handle and just sort of lose it. Not so much that he was being defended or knocked off the puck or anything like that, but just would simply kind of fumble the puck.
Yeah.
Saw that a few times from him. And I know we're, in all fairness, we're looking at Connor Bedard through a more critical eye than we're looking at the other players on the roster. But I think that's with good reason, right? He's the number 1 pick. He's called a generational talent. He is going to be the key to when this thing turns around. He needs to be the team's best player. So, of course, we're looking at him through a microscope and through an expectation that we don't expect from other players. Again, to bring it back to the Bears, you're looking at Caleb Williams one way, and you're looking at everybody else another way, right? It's generational pick, number 1 overall. You tanked pretty much to get the kid on your team. Now he's here, so you want to see perfection. And while that's not fair, I think that there were a few things I saw from Bedard today that reminded me a little bit too much of the last 2 years in terms of puck management. Now, like we mentioned, for the entire team, rust, first time full speed 5-on-5 for most of these guys. The ones who actually didn't look rusty were the ones who played in a rookie tournament, and Tom Curvers. Those young players seem to have a little bit of an advantage because they had already played 2 games at full speed, working their way up to the scrimmage. So I'm not saying it's time to panic. I'm not saying that Connor Bedard's a bust by any means, but I just want to see that's the unforced errors. I want to see him clean those up a little bit.
Yeah, I think going into this training camp, because of the last couple of months of the conversation about his offseason and what he's working on, like not going and playing for Team Canada because he's focusing on his offseason training and getting stronger and getting faster, then the focus becomes, okay, are you stronger? Are you faster? If not, what's the problem? Like, I think that's part of it. I think there's a lot of very needle point focus on it. But for the last week, there's been, a lot of evidence to suggest that he does feel faster. Watching him play does feel faster. Someone in the chat, Todd, says, is he actually faster or did he realize he needs to play faster?
No, he's actually
I think
faster.
both of those things can be true at the same time. I think he did realize he needs to play faster to be more successful at the NHL level. So to do that, you have to strengthen yourself up. You have to get faster. You have to get used to playing faster. And I think, to your point, that is something that I think he's going to take some time and work out those problems in the preseason and through training camp, is learning to play at that speed. Because it's with anything, with whether you go through a growth spurt or you suddenly are stronger, like, the old adage when you overshoot a basketball or something, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have worked out today. Like, it's like your body gets used to the different changes it goes through, whether you become stronger or taller or whatever, you have to get used to it. So with Bedard, like I feel like there is a little bit of getting used to being that fast and playing in those environments. And yeah, it's not just the foot speed, it's the decision making, it's the processing, it's things he's doing with it with the puck on his stick. Like, I think a lot of what we saw today, where it was just like him doing a lot, is maybe using that as an opportunity to kind of figure out that pace and get up to that speed. And I'd rather him do that now and find out what works, what doesn't,
right,
and have at least a base of foundation of like, this is how I can be effective at this speed, and then build on it from there, rather than get to the start of the NHL season and now he's trying to figure things out, or now he's trying to do too much. Like, figure out a base level of what your skill level can be now, and then build on it going from October on.
Well, we're going to hear from him later in the show, but Jeff Blashill was actually asked today about Oliver Moore, and actually it's not in there, so you won't hear that. He basically said the whole thing will be published on our YouTube after the show, but he said how guys that play fast and have done that their whole career, sometimes when they get to this level, have to learn to slow things down. It doesn't always have to be 15 stick handles, weaving in and out of traffic. You can still be fast and effective without a ton of wasted movement, and kind of knowing when to slow down a little bit, when to slow the pace down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And someone asked in the chat, like, who stood out in the scrimmage. I would say that I think Lukas Reichel had a pretty good scrimmage today in terms of like playing, using his speed, using his skill, but doing so selectively. What I saw from Lukas Reichel today was chill dog, thank you, was skating with his head up, holding the puck, and like waiting for his opportunity to make a play. There wasn't a lot of like panic and just needless stick handling. He would control the puck, skate it with speed, a lot of like kind of no-look passes at a good pace, not blasting 100% down the boards to try to be the fastest guy in the ice, but speed with context, I think, is important, and I saw a lot of that from Lukas Reichel today.
Yeah, and he was with Bedard and Moore, and like those, like that is, I mean, I think that's an example of with Reichel when we talk about like where's his place on this team. I think a lot of it has to do with the guys that he's going to play with, and last season primarily was with Craig Smith and Pat Maroon, and
Speedos.
Lo and behold, maybe that's not the best use of what Lukas Reichel's talents can be. Now, as with everybody in this training camp, you have to earn different opportunities that you're going to get, whether you're a young guy or you're a veteran. It's got to be merit-based, but with Reichel, like, give him an opportunity to play with guys that have a little bit more pace to their game, a little bit higher level of skill, so that maybe he can play off of that and develop off that. I think he has done a good job through the first week of camp of standing out in the right ways. Now as we get into the games and more situations where 5-on-5 play and 5-on-5 groups are going to be put together by Blashill and staff, I think we're going to get a better indicator of where they see Reichel so far. But I think through the first few days of camp, like I said, today he was with Connor Bedard and Oliver Moore for the scrimmage. He was with Oliver Moore and Ryan Green through the first few days of camp when they would do, 3 forwards through drills and stuff. So I think those are the right types of players to pair him with. Now, is Oliver Moore and Ryan Green going to be on the NHL roster to start the camp? Probably not. So you got to figure out where he goes with more of the NHL group if he's going to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of position battles, and there's a lot of guys vying for very limited spots. That's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to go through some of the forwards, some of the defensemen, and who we think is in the lead for those available positions with the Blackhawks. Do us a favor, if you've not done it yet, please hit that like button. Be sure you are subscribed. And again, reminder, bbbs.org/ALLCITY. We want you to become a big with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. But let's be real for a second. The world's gone soft. Soft drinks. They have earned the name soft because of these sparkling waters and these kombuchas that just smell and taste awful. If you drink that, you're kidding yourself. Oh, it's good for my gut. No, it's not. It smells, and now you smell. Stop it. Put it down. Soda used to have some kick. Now it's all about pretty colors and easy fizz, not RC Cola. RC Cola is not a soft drink. It's just damn good cola. The original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RC is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. RC has not changed its stripes since 1905 because why would you? It didn't need to. It was already great. Get some today at your local store for all the football games, hockey games coming up. RC's the move for whatever you're doing. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola.
Hey, coaches, listen up. If you're looking for more athletes to train, Eye on the Ball is where you need to be. It's very simple. Just create your profile, upload your background check, and boom, you're in. For just $50 a month or $500 for the full year, athletes of all ages and all sports can find you directly. Eye on the Ball also has a promo going on right now for coaches where you can get 6 months free. The best part is Eye on the Ball doesn't mess with your schedule, your payments, or your business. You're in full control. They connect you with athletes who are already looking for a coach like you. So if you're ready to grow your coaching business and reach more athletes, check them out right now, eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Don't wait. The athletes are already there looking for you, and athletes is super easy to sign up, and it's free for you at eyeontheball.net. Find the right coach for you and elevate your game.
All right. Thanks for being with us. Hit that like button. We almost have 100 likes. We're getting there.
All right.
So do that for us.
Mid-season form.
Yeah, we got some big. We've had some big groups lately, and hopefully again you're with us tomorrow for the post-game show, Hawks and Red Wings. So let's get into some of these positional battles here. As we look up and down the Hawks roster, there's one, maybe two forward positions open on this team right now. You'd say?
Yeah, up for interpretation, I'd say.
So the 6 names we have, we actually divided into 2 groups. So we have Lafferty, Green, and Doc. So your bottom 6 physical checker.
Yeah.
Then we've got Reichel, Moore, and Lardis as a competition for maybe a middle 6, top 6 offensive, more scoring prowess. And I think you could probably dangle Oliver Moore between both groups. If you really thought about it, because he seems pretty adaptable. But let's start with the Lafferty, Green, and Doc situation. I think we've talked a lot about Sam Lafferty lately, and it feels like, look, he's definitely going to be on the team. I think he's definitely going to be in the opening day lineup.
Yeah.
But Doc and Green, especially over the last couple days, Doc has really gotten a good look from Blashill. He's putting him in very interesting situations. Had him today with Ryan Donato. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, I've been impressed with Doc's play. He looks stronger. He looks faster. He looks like a kid who came into camp kind of with a chip on his shoulder, ready to prove himself, because I think he feels that maybe everyone's talking about Oliver Moore. Everyone's talking about Anton Frondell. Everyone's leaving me in the background and assuming I'm done. I'm not done. I'm here. I want to earn a spot. And look, last year he earned a spot. He got hurt. It's been a problem with him staying healthy. But I've been pretty impressed with Colton Doc and the way he's played. And I think Jeff Blashill is really giving him an opportunity here to earn a roster spot in this team, because he does bring something that they kind of are short on.
Yeah, they don't have a ton of like power forwards that can be, agitator style player that's also got the opportunity and the ability to kind of be a supplemental scoring option. I think Colton Doc really, there's 2 things that the Doc brothers have that I think was evident in both of them, Kirby and Colton. 1, injury problems.
Yes.
But 2, a drive to prove themselves. I think when Kirby was here, I think he knew there's a lot of expectation on him, 3rd overall pick into the NHL right away, and there was a lot of drive to prove himself in that spot. And I think he was doing a little bit too much, wasn't dealt a good hand by the organization then, but it's a different scenario for Colton in which he's got a drive to prove himself because he doesn't have top 5 pick expectations. He doesn't have a spot in the NHL penciled in for him already. Like he's had to go out and earn everything, and I think he's a guy that can fit that mold of the player that they don't really have a ton of. And I think he's making a good impression with Jeff Blashill. We saw Colton Dock today as one of the power play team white. He was on one of the power play units when they were working on 5-on-5 on the separate ice sheets. Team red was on one side, team white was on the other. The team white power play was, I wrote it down if I can find it, but it was Doc was the net front. Then you had Burakovsky, Mikheyev, believe Donato, and then Korchinski. Or Levshunov, and Levshunov. So, and Burakovsky didn't play in the scrimmage. I think he was still kind of getting over a little bit of a small injury that held him out of practice yesterday. But, I mean, that's Levshunov, Donato, Mikheyev, Burakovsky. That's 4 NHL guys.
Yeah.
And then you throw in Colton Dock there. You had him playing with Lardis and Donato in the scrimmage. Like, he is getting opportunities to show that skill and be able to be, especially on a power play. Like, he seems like a guy that if and when he figures it out at the NHL level, he would be a great player to be that net front guy who can be strong around the net, who can, cause some havoc and be there for redirects and rebounds. And honestly, he feels like the guy that he feels like he could be the guy that a lot of people thought Tyler Bertuzzi was going to be.
Yeah.
As like a net front guy, but then actually like be more of the physical agitator and the physical presence while also hopefully being as effective in that spot.
Yeah, I think Bertuzzi has maybe an unearned reputation as a physical player. Now, he's willing to go in front of the net. He's willing to take a beating, that sort of thing. But in terms of like laying people out, being a like quote unquote power forward, that was more Todd than Tyler Bertuzzi. Right. I like what Bertuzzi brings. There's no doubt about it. But I just think the physical element of his game is a little bit overrated. But back to Colton Dock, Landon Slager missing some practices here is a big opportunity for him. Because that's Doc, a roster spot, like in similar games, but I feel like Slaggert is more like shot out of a cannon. Everything is 100% effort all the time. Mm-hmm. Where Doc is kind of a smooth skating, cerebral, obviously bigger, probably a little bit stronger than Landon Slaggert, but I think a little more scoring touch than him too. So if he can grab this opportunity with an absent Landon Slaggert and take those opportunities he was going to get, take those shifts he was going to get, and make something of it, good for him. Because, man, if Colton Dock becomes a factor, like now you're really talking about – because I think people have kind of moved on from him. I don't think people were really projecting him as a long-term piece here. If he can prove to be that, even if it's for 2-3 years to fill that gap to Nestor Sill, West – whoever's next up on the, even AJ Spellicy, who's probably a year away at least yet. Like that's a really nice need filled. They did not draft a lot of that the last few years. This year they did. They need someone to fill that power forward gap for a few years, and I do think that Doc can do it if he stays healthy.
Yeah,
that's just the biggest thing. And I swear to God, every time I see him take a hit, I get worried. And for a guy that big, I shouldn't feel that way.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think it's just because we have the track record of seeing him get dinged up and miss time. And always, it seems like it always happens for a guy like him, is that it's like he'll stretch together like a really good span of play, and you think, okay, here's some momentum for him to build on, and then he gets hit with something that keeps him out for a couple games or longer than that. Like, and it just stinks the timing of that. But I think to talk about Doc within the group of Lafferty and Green, I think there's a difference between who's going to probably win that position battle to start the season and who's going to be there at the end of the season. Yeah. I think to start the season, Sam Lafferty has the upper hand. I think by the end of the season, in that spot is going to be a guy like Colton Dock. And I think it'll be, now, is he going to go back and forth to Rockford and Chicago? Hopefully not. I think he probably hopes that he's an NHL guy right away. And I think the organization probably wants him to earn that as well. But I think by the end of the season, he'll have written his name down as like bottom 6, power forward, everyday guy, someone, because I think too, one thing that is important with when we talk about like who's making up this team is how they fit with the group.
Yeah.
Colton Dach seems like a guy that is great with everyone around the locker room. Like I think he took a lot of lessons and, you know, some of what Pat Maroon was supposed to do last year, kind of taking a lot of those young guys under his wing, so to say. I think Colton Dach benefited a lot from that.
Yeah.
Because he has that kind of personality of, you know, being engaged in conversations with everyone around the room. And I'm just kind of seeing a little bit of a difference in him and a lot of the young guys as they mature and how the locker room feel. Like it feels like all of the conversations are with the young guys. They're all loud. They're all talking across the room and stuff. Like it really does feel like that room is changing through the first week of training camp. Now, as we whittle down to the final 22, 23 guys, maybe it feels a little different during the regular season. But definitely Dach is one of those guys that I feel like is when you say like locker room guy, he's going to be one of those guys.
Yeah, and I think so. If I'm handicapping it today, and I'm predicting opening night, I think it's going to be Lafferty. I think that Dach has an edge over Green because I wonder if they like. I don't want to misrepresent what I'm trying to say here, but I wonder if they'd be comfortable with Colton Dach in like the offensive Louis Crevier situation, where they're not quite as invested in his future as they are with like more Bedard, Nazar.
I don't know if that's true. I don't. Even though Dach wasn't a Kyle Davidson pick, I think he's navigated his way into being part of that core, for lack of a better term, of guys moving forward. So I think they are invested in him becoming somebody that they rely on.
Yeah, I guess that sort of leads us into the next group too, because it really feels like they want Oliver Moore to make this team.
It does.
Like it really feels like he's getting every opportunity. He's getting penalty kill, getting power play. Obviously today skating with Bedard and Reichel on the top line. And I have to say, he looks good. He is noticeable. Now, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Reichel and Bedard, Moore has had that tendency, as Jeff Blashill said today, to maybe play a little too fast sometimes. He's got to slow the pace down. But is he going to learn that in Rockford? Is he going to go down to the AHL, be counted on to be one of their leading scorers, leading producers, top 6 guys? Is he going to learn to tamp down his game a little bit at the AHL level? Or is he going to want to go down there, dominate the most he can so he can get back up to the NHL as quickly as possible? Is he better off learning those hard lessons at the NHL level? I don't know the answer to that. I'm glad I'm not Kyle Davidson. I'm glad I'm not Jeff Blashill because it's a hard one, but it really feels like they want Oliver Moore to win a job here. And they're giving him good looks with good players. And every time I look up and I say, who's that flashing? It's Moore. And it's not just because he's fast. He's creating a lot. He's everywhere. He's all over the ice. He's in all 3 zones. I've really liked what I've seen from number 11. And I wonder, too, like, so what does that mean for the other guys in that conversation?
I think when you look at Oliver Moore and the opportunity that he's getting in training camp in the preseason, it's very similar to what Frank Nazar had last year, where it was like there's a spot for him.
Yeah.
If he goes out and earns it. And I think the organization would love for him to be in Chicago. They want all these young guys to like be like, yes, they're ready. Give them you know, a more full plate of NHL responsibilities. Like that's what the organization wants these guys to do, but they don't want to do it ahead of schedule. They don't want to overload them.
Yeah.
So I think if Oliver Moore does start in Rockford, it's not a failure. But I think there is a clear path to him making this team out of camp. He was on the top line today for Team Red with Bedard and Reichel. He was getting power play opportunities as well. He was with, I had it here. He was with Foligno, Green, Reichel, and Grzelcyk with team the red team on the power play. He was also used on the penalty kill in a couple drills. So like he's getting all those opportunities that we were expecting his skill set to present to him. I think the big thing for him is, like you were saying, like the speed of the game, the processing of the game. That was kind of the thing with him at Minnesota, is like he's super fast, but he doesn't finish every opportunity. If he could, he would have had 20 goals instead of 9.
Yeah.
So I think developing that at the AHL level wouldn't be a bad thing, but I think getting into the NHL and kind of learning those lessons would be a good thing. The other thing, and I talked to him today, and there's a little bit of a preview of something to come to allchgo.com either later today or early tomorrow morning. He talked about physically holding up for 82 games. And I think that that's something that we sometimes are guilty of, like, overlooking with a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
is like
true.
Guys coming from college and even, coming from juniors and stuff. Yeah, juniors, they play 60 plus 65 games. But it's a lot different than 82 and the travel schedule. And especially for college, like Oliver Moore playing at Minnesota and with Team USA for the World Juniors, he only played 45 games in his season last year. That's just over half of an NHL schedule.
Right.
So holding up in that kind of grind is a big challenge for a lot of these guys. And yeah, they're 21, 22 years old. They're young. They got, their whole lives ahead of them. They should be in good physical shape, but it's just the wear and tear physically and mentally that I think is a challenge. So I would love for him to be in the NHL. I think it would be exciting to see him develop in the NHL, but I think I have to remind myself and remind fans that, like, if he does go to Rockford, the same thing that Frank Nazar did last year, there's no reason to write it off as like that is a failure.
All right, we're going to hit the break zone one more time. When we come back, we're going to make our predictions for who makes the opening night lineup of these games we've been talking about. Stick around, hit the like button for us. We'll be back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. And Chicago Sports Network is the official TV and streaming home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, broadcasting over 300 live games per year. CHSN offers the All Access plan. That's $29.99 a month, and it gives you access to all games and programming on the network, and individual team plans for $19.99 a month. Those give you access to the games of the team you select. You can sign up to watch CHSN at chsn.com, or you can watch via the CHSN app, which can be downloaded on Apple and Android devices, Amazon, Fire TV, Roku, and Samsung TV. CHSN is also available on Xfinity, DirecTV, DirecTV Stream, and Fubo. And by the way, some people have not been able to find CHSN Plus on Xfinity. I was told today it will be there, so don't sweat. That's the plan. There will be a Plus channel. Visit chsn.com for more details to watch all the Hawks games this year.
And if you're sick of watching these Hawks and want to go see them in person, watch them on TV, go see them in person with our friends at Game Time. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, the fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. If you want to go see the Hawks, use Game Time. If you want to go see the Cubs, playoff team Cubs,
playoffs,
check out Game Time. They have the zone deals, which saves you even more when you choose a section and then let Game Time choose the seats. They have the view from your seat function, so when you choose that zone deal and Game Time picks your seat, you can see where they're going to put you and what it's going to look like. And they have their lowest price guarantee, which means if you find the same ticket at a different site, Game Time will credit you 100%, 110% of the difference. That's how much they care that you're getting the best deal through them. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB and NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use the code CHGO. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
All right, we have a $20 super chat from Logan K99.
Thank you, Logan.
He says, you guys have been really high on Renzel after his 9 games last season. Reichel also looked very good in his, I can't read that anymore. Can you zoom in? Sorry, the backgrounds.
Zoom. Enhance.
In his first 20 games of his rookie year, that's Reichel. Do you see Renzel continuing on that path, or will he struggle like Reichel? It's very hard to compare defensemen and forwards. You're looking for totally different things. I do not expect him to struggle quite that much, but no, I think Renzel's going to be fine. I think Renzel is going to be more of the Alex Vlasic type.
I hope so. Yeah. And the same things can be applied for Oliver Moore, for Nick Lardis, for Sam Rinzel, is holding up throughout the entire NHL season. And a friend of the program and former NHLer Brendan Perlini checking in says 82 is a lot. Feels like every day you're playing, after a while you don't really know what the hell city you're in. Rinzel's gonna face that this year too. Like, yes, we are very excited about him and what he can be. I think around the league there's a lot of excitement for him. We see him in Calder Trophy candidate posts and all this stuff. Like, he's somebody that is going to be given a lot of opportunity and a lot of time, but playing 23 minutes a night over 9 games is different than playing 23 minutes a night in the NHL over 82.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say like, oh, him going to Rockford is fine. That would kind of be disappointing, because now you look at the right side of your defense and it's a little thin without Rinzel. But I think you live with what those ups and downs are going to be. There are going to be nights where he plays 25 minutes, has like a pair of assists, and is plus 3. And you're going to be like, wow, rookie of the year. Then there are going to be nights where he's out there for 25 minutes, is a -4, is fumbling the puck, and you're just like, wow, this kid's a bust. Like, there's going to be those ups and downs. But I think with a guy like Rinzel, you bet that the ups over an 82-game season, or however long he plays in the NHL this year, you bet that the ups outweigh the downs, and that they become more ups that you're seeing than downs throughout the season. So, yeah, are we maybe a little too excited for it? Maybe, but I think the excitement is warranted for the guy that he can become and the role that he can play.
All right, let's make our predictions here. Here are the guys we know are on the team. Bedard, Donato, Burakovsky, 3. Nazar, Bertuzzi, Teravainen, 6. Dickinson, Mikheyev, Foligno, Lafferty. So that's 10.
Forwards.
Mm-hmm. So there's 3 spots open. 13 forwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think Slaggert's a shoe-in. I think Reichel's a shoe-in. They're going to see. They got to see what he can do. I can't imagine they send him to Rockford.
With Reichel, it feels like he's either on this team or he doesn't make it, and they move him.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't think that they will be like, oh, we'll send him to Rockford and figure out what he's gonna. I think by this time, the amount of pro hockey that he's played, you should finally have an answer to what he is or is not.
All right, so I'm going to say the 13th forward is Colton Dock. I think Oliver Moore is going to go back to Rockford on the Nazar plan. Go down there, play your 20, play your 30, work out the kinks, learn to play with that pace. Blashill loves Jared Nightingale. They're very much on the same page about development and about philosophy and all those sort of things. Mm-hmm. So let Oliver Moore work those things out, and then as soon as he's ready, they're going to find space for him. There will be an injury. There will be someone that struggles that might have to go back down for a reset, whatever, and I think then you get Oliver Moore back up here. But if I'm predicting right now, it's Slaggert, it's Doc, it's Reichel, and I think Oliver Moore and Nick Lardis go back to Rockford, and Ryan Green. And I think Ryan Green is called up after the deadline or with injuries. Yeah. When you move a Dickinson or a Foligno, probably not a Foligno, or a Lafferty, probably the 2 most likely forwards to go.
Maybe Mikheyev.
Mikheyev.
Yeah.
Then you find a spot for Ryan Green. And I'm totally comfortable with that. I would prefer to see Oliver Moore make the team because I'm excited about it, but it might not be the best thing for his development to just say, go. Like, get in here right away, banner night in Florida, but make sure you're playing slow. Make sure you're
well, and Moore had just same with Sam Rinzel. They came together as teammates. He had 9 games too, so it's not necessarily like he's gonna jump in and like, oh my god, poop my pants on my first NHL game. Like he's done it before. But I agree. Like there is a lot to be said to be like throw you into the fire basically and be like, you're an NHL guy at 20 years old. Like that's a lot to handle. That being said, when I did my forwards group for ALLCHGO.com predicting it ahead of camp, I had Oliver Moore making the team, and I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
I have Oliver Moore in there. I also have Did you have Slaggert as one of the locks or one of the open spots?
I had him as the one notch below a lock.
Okay.
But yes,
I have
he's gonna
Slaggert
make
in
it.
there. I also have Lucas Reichel. Now, I don't know if all three of them are would be playing at the same time.
That's the thing is
Because
who's the
I
scratch?
have Sam Lafferty as the first scratch. But that's me. That's not necessarily what Jeff Blashill will do, but those are my 13. The 10 guaranteed, Reichel, Slaggert, and more, and then Lafferty is
Okay.
also in that group.
I have Reichel, Slaggert, and Doc. Same idea.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
now on defense, we've got basically one spot for Del Mastro, Allen, or Korchinski.
Yeah, I think, as we've said, you look at the right side of the defensive group, you kind of have to, not that it's a bad problem, because watching these guys will be fun, but you kind of have to have Sam Renzel and Artem Levshinov in the group on the right side.
They're practicing Levshinov like they're practicing Renzel. Like he's on the top power play units. Like he is. It very much feels like Levshinov is a lock to make this team.
They used Levshinov with Kaiser as one of the penalty kill defensive pairs as well. Now,
and paired together generally.
Yeah, they've locked those two guys together, which is really a good thing that Wyatt Kaiser got his deal done when they did, because you want him and Levshinov, as they built some chemistry at the end of last season, to play off of each other through camp and see if that carries over. So far, I think it has.
I think there is a clear leader in this competition.
So we have Vlasic and Murphy in.
Yep.
We're saying Renzel and Levshinov in.
Yep.
Also Louis Crevier as the seventh defenseman,
defenseman.
likely. And Wyatt Kaiser's in.
Yes.
After signing and
Yes.
basically tied with Levshinov.
And also, Kaiser looks really freaking good in camp.
Yeah, he does. He looks like the guy that we were like, this is why they need to sign him.
Yes.
So it's Del Mastro, Allen, Korchinski for one of that spots.
I think Ethan Del Mastro has been significantly better than the other two.
Yeah, and they're playing him as such. I think Del Mastro, he was matched up with Sam Renzel today. They've had Korchinski and Allen playing together over the last week, both today in the 5-on-5 scrimmage, but also when they've had drills where pairings, much like we said with who are we talking about in the forwards group? Anyway, much like, when those three guys were together, the defensive pairs have been together with that group, and it's been Korchinski and Allen. Del Mastro has played with Renzel basically the entire camp. So I think
Nazar and Bertuzzi and Tavo.
That's what it was, yes.
Yeah.
I think the leg up is for Del Mastro, and that's not too surprising, given that you're thinking your offensive guys are going to be Renzel, Levshinov, and maybe Kaiser to a lesser extent. So then you kind of say, like, if Korchinski's not absolutely on fire, lighting it up offensively, do you need to put him in there, kind of thing?
I mean, the other thing too is, and remember, Korchinski is the whatever you want to call it, 5th, 6th, 7th defenseman in Chicago, or the number one guy in Rockford, playing 20-plus minutes a night, power play, penalty kill, doing everything, and then finally, remember, he's only 20, right? Like, he's not, he's not, there's nothing that's been decided about Korchinski yet, but Del Mastro just seems to be
21.
Matured, he's 21, sorry, matured. It's proven he's probably been in the AHL longer than he needs to be. Maybe a little bit over-ripened, you would say, about Del Mastro.
Yeah, I think.
And sure, you can project Del Mastro as a bottom pair guy for his whole career, but I think right now he's more ready to be a bottom pair guy than Kevin Korchinski is. Let Korchinski get the huge minutes, and if he gets pissed off about it, good. Get pissed off about it. Mm-hmm. Get pissed off about it, and then when you come back to Chicago,
use that as motivation.
Don't go back.
Yeah.
Send a message. Don't go back. Because I still see from him, the skill is evident, but I still see kind of the indecisiveness, the lack of confidence, the doubting of himself sometimes. Kid, just go. Just take it. Use your ability and dominate. He's got all the tools to do that. I think the biggest thing for Korchinski is mental. I think that is his biggest hurdle right now.
I think one of the things that is giving Ethan Del Mastro an advantage is the physical aspect of his game. I think he's a really good player as like more of that shutdown style guy. I think he moves well for his size, but he plays physical. Like you won't see him lose many battles. You won't see him get out muscled for pucks all that often. You really won't see him get bullied in front of the net.
Right.
Like he's a guy that can stand all of that and stand his ground. I think with Korchinski, like the defensive aspect of the game is still not his strong suit. Like I said, like he's not necessarily like lighting it up where he's weaving through like rush, like he's not confidently carrying the puck through a rush and setting up chances. Like there is a little bit of that, like everything seems like just a little hair slower than you'd want. And physically, like he too still kind of has to get stronger to not be a guy that's gonna get out muscled. And we saw today in the scrimmage there was a play where Nick Foligno just came in and just wumped Korchinski off the puck and won a battle. There was a play over the weekend where Aiden Thompson, maybe you call a penalty on it if it's a game situation, but there's a race to a puck, and Aiden Thompson, who's just like all these other guys fighting for an NHL opportunity, just has his way with Korchinski to get to the puck first. So those are like those things that you don't want to see a guy who, if you're going to entrust being in the NHL and playing 18 to 20 minutes a night, you don't want to have those questions of like, can he withstand the physical aspect of the NHL if he's not going to be a 40-point offensive
and he doesn't have to become Chris Pronger. He doesn't have to be bullying people around and running people over.
Yeah, no.
But he's got to be able to hold his own when challenged for a puck.
Yeah.
He's a defenseman, right? Like, he's got to have more fight on a puck than Lucas Reichel does.
It's part of defending is how you use your body. Look, Wyatt Kaiser is not a big, quote unquote, defenseman, especially in this group of guys. But he's not a guy that more often than not I'm going to say, well, he's probably going to lose a physical battle, because he plays and initiates contact, and I think that's what helps him right now look like a guy that's in that regular 6 rotation, is that he can move the puck, he can be reliable at both ends of the ice, and he's going to have an edge. He plays with an edge physically to kind of outmatch that 6-foot, 185-pound frame or whatever it is. Like, he makes up for it. So that's what you want to see from Korchinski too, who has an advantage in his frame. You want to see him use it and be confident using it.
There's a way you can be small, and as you're saying, like leverage your body, learn how to stand, learn how to absorb a hit. And these are the sort of lessons that Korchinski needs to learn. And I think some time in Rockford is going to be fine. And again, just to be clear, I don't think this means anything about his potential as a really good NHL player. Again, 21 years old, takes time. Just look at the Buffalo Sabres defensemen, Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin. Like, those guys were no doubt top of the draft superstars, and they took years to get where they're at right now. And Owen Power probably still isn't there where people thought he was going to be. And I'm not comparing Korchinski to Dahlin. I'm just saying that's an extreme example. Dahlin now considered one of the best defensemen in the game, but it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And that was a no doubt top pick. So give it time. I think a little more time in Rockford. And I think Del Mastro gives you that luxury of being able to, hey, this guy's NHL ready. The ceiling is nowhere near Korchinski's ceiling. It's not. I think Del Mastro's ceiling is probably Connor Murphy. Right?
Yeah.
Which is great. A middle pair guy for 15 years, block shots, plays physical, great. Awesome.
Sure.
You can never have too many of those guys. But while Korchinski is working out the kinks, getting bigger, getting stronger, learning the context of the game, let Del Mastro start at the NHL level and just give some of that calm and physicality on the back end, because you do feel good about, the offensive players you have back there with Renzel and Levshov and Kaiser, and we have seen whispers of offense from Alex Vlasic, and if he does indeed stay paired with Connor Murphy, he's going to be asked to use that a little bit more. So I think Del Mastro's definitely got the edge here.
That would be interesting if they match Vlasic with Murphy.
I agree. I did not expect that.
Because you imagine Vlasic's going to play 20-plus minutes a night. As top pair guy, I didn't think that Connor Murphy would be put in that position, but I think if you're looking at a group who you're like, they can be a shutdown pair, that's the group. And then maybe that's the duo. And then maybe you pinpoint, okay, offense with defense, Rinzel, Del Mastro, maybe that's your second pair. Or maybe Levshinov, Kaiser, offense with defense is your second pair. And then you play Del Mastro and Rinzel down with third pair minutes. I don't know. I think if there's a guy on the right side that you inherently right away can trust playing 20 minutes a night, it's Murphy over those guys. But I think eventually you'll want Levshinov and Rinzel to be guys that you can play 20-plus minutes a night.
And I don't see any fear from Blashill about playing those guys. The other thing, Nolan Allen is, I just feel like he's not as strong defensively as Del Mastro. He's not as good offensively as Korchinski. So, like, whatever they're looking for, Allen doesn't seem to be either. And you feel bad for him because he didn't really do anything wrong. I think for a guy who was picked late in the first round, he's developed probably appropriately.
If Nolan Allen was picked in the third round and not the first, I don't think there'd be any, like, quote unquote disappointment about it. But it's like he was a first round pick.
He was the Stan Bowman version of Sam Rinzel. Stan Bowman saw the traits of Nolan Allen and said, I'm going to take a swing on this guy. I think he's going to turn out to be a really solid defenseman.
Yeah.
And you could sort of see what he saw. And I think Nolan Allen is going to play NHL games this season. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And that's fine if he does. It just feels to me like a guy who's been you draft Levshinov third overall, second overall. You have Rinzel, who's skyrocketed in development. Mm-hmm. Connor Murphy's here. I mean, maybe if Murphy gets traded, he's up. I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like he's kind of a guy without a spot right now.
Yeah, I think as we've seen these guys develop, it just kind of feels like Nolan Allen just kind of got surpassed. And it's not to say that he's not developing, not a better player than when he first stepped into the pro game. He definitely has developed and is a guy that you could say right on that fence of AHL top guy or everyday NHL guy. It just kind of feels like Wyatt Kaiser's development over the last 2 seasons kind of took a step over Allen. And then, Rinzel's fast-tracked, and you brought Levshinov in. Like, it just kind of feels like numbers game. He's kind of just fallen down the pecking order. And it kind of stinks because it's like he's a guy that is a lot like Ethan Del Mastro, but I think just Del Mastro might be a half step ahead of him in what his development has been. So I don't think it's to say that Nolan Allen doesn't really have a place. It might just be he's kind of just waiting it out and keep doing what he's been doing. Like, there's really nothing that's been wrong with his game, I would say. And I don't watch him in camp and say, he's definitely not an NHL guy. I just think there's a few guys that are just ahead of him. And that's what happens when you have, especially with this defensive group that we've talked about for a number of years. It's just the nature of the game when you have a team that's rebuilding and you bring in all these young guys. Like, there's only so many that you can play. And maybe Nolan Allen becomes a guy that, maybe it's at some point this season they say, we don't really see a way for you to have a future in the NHL here, so we want to give you a different opportunity. And maybe he is a change of scenery player because he's up for a contract this offseason. Him and Korchinski and Del Mastro and all these guys, they're going to be RFAs at the end of this season. So one way or another, the organization will have to make some decisions on these guys.
I mean, look, he did well by himself, even though he's a left-hand shot, of playing the right side in Rockford. And he did that out of necessity for what the Hawks had at the time. They needed someone to play on the right side. Yeah. They trained him to do it. I think if he goes down to Rockford and continues doing what he was doing, and I think just from natural progression he'll get better, just from experience, when Connor Murphy's traded, you call him up and you've got Vlasic and this is in no order, but you got Vlasic, Allen, Del Mastro, Renzel, Kaiser, Levshinov.
That's a very young defensive
That's
group.
a very young defensive group.
But by that point, Alex Vlasic will have played over 200 NHL games.
For real. I mean,
it's.
So I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. I think that could certainly happen.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you just got to take time. You got to take. And I think he'll have to understand that. But nothing about Nolan Allen makes me think that he's ready to flip out or demand a trade anywhere. But you look around the league, and there's some really high-profile RFAs unsigned. And a lot of people have mentioned Mason McTavish over and over again, and it's the little putz Pat Verbeek, who has to be a hard ass on everything. It doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and say, if you're at an impasse with this guy, we've got some good young players that could help you right now.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's worth a shot. It's worth a call.
I'm sure Kyle Davidson has made that call.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because you are at a point here where there is going to be a bit of a logjam up front, especially next year. Like,
I mean, we're
log jammed now.
Yeah.
And you're going to add Anton Frondel next year at the latest,
maybe by the end of this season.
and Sasha Boisvert.
Yeah, and AJ Spellacy,
you're running out of spots.
There's it's a great problem to have, but it becomes a problem you have to navigate. Is where are all these guys going to play, and who's gonna make it? It's the scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker splits the pool cue and tosses it on the ground. Exactly. Tryouts. One of these Blackhawks will die.
Whoa, Jesus.
And one will make the team.
Good Lord.
Well, that's the scene. Spoiler alert. That's what happens in the movie.
They're all on a boat, and
yeah, I mean,
look,
we've talked about the intensity of Jeff Blashill. It's really intense in there, guys. No, you're at that point. You're at that point where these guys got to figure out who you have room for, and who you want to make room for. And I think it's been a lot of fun this week actually having these young players and looking around and being like, how do you fit them? Who moves out? Like, is maybe there? Who knows? By the end of training camp, we might have a situation where they're like, we need to play Doc and Reichel and Moore and Slaggert and all these guys. Like, Jeff Blashill might go and say, I don't know, I want all of them on the team.
Yeah,
get
that's why I think
so-and-so veteran out of here, or
that's
whatever.
Why I think Mikheyev is gone. Like,
man, Mikheyev though, like,
he's got value, but
he feels like a guy that like really could like still really benefit the team for the here and now. But if all your young guys are get to that same level playing field, then yeah, you say especially Davidson. All these guys that he drafted and they got his stamp of approval, and all these guys that he's overseen their development, he's going to want them to be in those spots and moving the team forward, because that's been his plan, and that makes him look like a genius. But that's the route that the team has gone in the rebuild, and if the rebuild works, it's on the backs of those young players. So it's probably wishful thinking to say all these young guys are going to push all these veterans out.
Right. We are jumping to some conclusions here, of course.
Yeah, but if you have players performing like that, that's the direction you want the organization to go.
All right, we did not have time to play Jeff Blashill or really get to any mailbag questions. Can we get to King Tanner's real quick here? Joey, I can read. I have it right in front of me if you don't want to pull the graphic up.
No, he made the graphic.
Nope.
King Tanner is the guy. It's the very last
the guy
one.
Eating the sandwich.
The very last one that you.
There
it is. Yep.
All right. King Tanner says, I see a lot of Lardis practicing with the guys we were expecting to see in Chicago this year, more than the guys he's probably playing with in Rockford. Is this a slight sign that Lardis could get more NHL time than we originally thought?
He started camp playing with Aiden Thompson and Dominic Toninato. Today, he got an opportunity to play with Ryan Donato and Colton Dock.
Yeah.
So he's checking off all the Natos. And yeah, he got some opportunities to play on a power play spot with Team White. I think Nick Lardis has a chance to play in the NHL this season.
I agree.
I think
Not yet.
as you look at guys who feel like, yep, they can be in the NHL and not just be there because it'd be fun to see them, but be there because they're earning their way to that spot and could be effective right away. I think those are the guys we've kind of talked about. Lardis feels like a guy who starts in Rockford, potentially lights it up, and then by the mid-season point of this year or post-trade deadline, gets his look in the NHL and gets his time.
Just quickly, my fears of Nick Lardis being not able to handle pro hockey potentially, I don't have those anymore. He has held his own.
He's had a good week
against NHL defenders, NHL forwards. A little bit of that coached a junior out of him that Derek King always talks about. But I think Nick Lardis is an NHL player. It's a matter of when, not if.
No, yeah. I 71 goals last year in the OHL. Like, that's nothing to stick your nose up at. So I think there is NHL game in there. It's just when are we going to get to it?
That's right.
Might not be October 7th, but it might be within this season.
I agree. All right. Tomorrow, post-game, let's go. We have an actual game to talk about. Hawks and Red Wings. Puck drops at 6. As soon as the game's over, we'll be here. Hope you'll be here with us. Hit that like button on your way out. We'll talk to you tomorrow for our first post-game show of the 25-26 preseason.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Rip to everyone's
That was
ears.
Joey
Sorry.
Christopoulos.
Holy
crap.
That
I'm
was
just
loud.
excited,
He
guys.
just,
That
well,
was
whichever
loud.
Hawk is listening, that's when it
I
died.
hope
So-
no one got in a car accident just now. Jeezy Lou.
Sorry about that.
All right.
All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow after Hawks and Red Wings right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.